What is up? Talking about emotional fitness and mental framing for launching and growing your coaching business. So I'm just going to share this in my group. And if you're not in my group, get in there. It's pretty good. Yeah, lots of training that goes on in there as well. But I wanted to share this with folks, with everybody. Boom, boom. Just let me share this and then we'll get rolling. Here we go. All right. And then we'll just make sure that everybody can hear me. All right. Hey, you're here. I see you. Shout hello if you would. Give me a like. Let me know if you can hear me all right. I tested my headphones. I'm pretty sure that you can, but would love to know if you can or can't. Let me click this open. There. Now I can answer any and all questions. All right. So talking about mental and emotional fitness. Hey, Shell, what's going on? Awesome. So glad you can hear me. Beautiful, beautiful. Tony is in the house. Fantastic. So yeah, I wanted to go over some notes on mental and emotional fitness. And when you start a coaching business and then as you grow it, you're going to go through so many different emotions and feelings and states of being, and emotional fitness and mental framing is so important for that. And it's one of the things, and I mentioned this before, when you're a coach, you tend to think that you've got all of the thinking worked out. You tend to think, yeah, I know how to deal with limiting beliefs, or I know how to handle challenges that come up in my emotional state. And the reality is, if you're doing something that you've never done before, it isn't that simple. And so here is what happened. If you hear little people chuckling, it's my daughters are having a blast playing out in the living room right now. So yeah, so here's what happens. As a coach, you don't want people to think that you're ever having problems, because then they'll wonder, like, well, what good are you if you can't deal with your own emotional issues? However, you will have them. I know you'll have them because you've got a heart beating inside your chest. You've got a brain thinking inside your skull. That makes you human, and every human deals with emotions, and they're usually quite strong whenever we're dealing with the unknown. I don't know how to launch, or I don't know how to grow, or I don't know what's going to happen, or can I do this? Do I have what it takes? Am I going to be able to figure this out? Will I be able to follow the pathway that's being shown to me? All of these things, right? And so I wanted to talk about emotional fitness, particularly with some mental framing, because people, and particularly coaches, and we should all know better, but I do the same thing. We have this emotion, we have this feeling, we have this thought. Let's just take doubt, for example. We have a doubt, we have a feeling, and we immediately want to get rid of it because we're not supposed to have that. Does anybody understand what I'm saying right now? We have this emotion or this feeling or this thought, and we immediately label it as negative or bad. And then we immediately try to squash it, push past it, get rid of it. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Yes, Monica says yes. Beautiful. Thank you, Monica. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? I can't have this feeling because I'm a coach. And I also know that I need to master my emotions, master my thoughts. And the reality is that's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. You probably know this from working with your clients or potential clients, or working with friends if you haven't launched yet. You probably see it really clearly in other people's lives. Or you either try to squash that feeling, or you just own that feeling, and then you feel like you're a failure because you have that feeling. Does that make sense? Have you ever felt like a failure because you've had a negative feeling or a negative thought that surrounds part of your personal life, or even the idea of your coaching business? I have. I still do. Yes, I am reading your mind again, Nina. Absolutely. That's what I'm good at. So emotional fitness is about having the mental framework and the emotional training to be able to handle those thoughts and those feelings. Not ignore them, not squash them, not try to push them aside, and not own them in a way where we shame ourselves or we feel bad about who we are for feeling the way that we feel. If you're a human being, you're going to have doubts. If you're a human being, you're going to have feelings of pain or loss or despair sometimes. You're going to have feelings of feeling betrayed, broken trust. You're going to have feelings surrounded by, do I have what it takes? Am I enough? And it's not enough for me just to tell you you're enough. It's not enough for me to just tell you you have what it takes. That'll get you by for like 30 seconds. And then 30 seconds after that, the doubt creeps back in. So here's 3 things that we do with emotional fitness, okay? And that we do with our mindset for our mental framing. 1, you've just got to be aware and recognize whatever the feeling is that you're experiencing, whatever that thought that's creeping in. And usually thoughts start and then they turn into feelings. So you've got to be able to recognize and be aware and just accept it. Accept it. Oh, I'm having doubts. That's what that is. Oh, I'm feeling like I'm not enough. That's what that is. You identify it. You can even call it out, right? You don't have to rebuke it. You just accept it. Oh, that's the feeling I'm having, right? This is the first step to emotional fitness. The very first step is just accepting it, understanding it, being okay with it, that this one thought that has turned into a feeling does not define me. Yes, Monica, self-awareness. Absolutely. That's it. That's the first step to emotional fitness. Your awareness that you're having whatever thought or feeling you're having. Then you move on to the second one. The second step in emotional fitness is understanding why. Understanding, why am I having these doubts? Why am I having these thoughts? Why are these turning into feelings? Because when you understand why and recognize why, then you can begin your mastery over emotional fitness. You understand where that's coming from. It helps you explain to yourself what's going on. And the answer is never because I'm a bad person or because I'm lacking in some area, right? It's, you got to dig to understand why you're feeling that way, where that thought came from, and just be okay with it. But once you understand it, you can kind of start pulling it apart. And then the second reason why we want to understand it is because we want to recognize it faster the next time. The next time you have that feeling, the next time you have that thought, you can just be like, oh yeah, that's the thought, I identify it, and here's why I'm feeling that way. 2 very natural things. Again, there's no shame in this. Does that make sense so far? Are you with me so far? I don't want to move too far ahead. 1, recognize and accept what you're feeling. Monica said self-awareness. 2, understand why, so that you can have mastery over it and so that you can recognize it faster next time. Does this make sense to you? Before I move on to the third. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. So here's the third thing, the third step in emotional fitness is choosing your intentions in regards to how you want to feel moving forward. How do you want to feel moving forward? Okay. So if you want to stay in those feelings of doubt or in those feelings of shame, or if you want to stay in those feelings of lack or not enough self-worth, that's up to you. I don't know how to help you. If you don't want to stay there, then set your intention for how do you want to feel and reframe that. Reframe that for yourself so that once you do those three things, you can train your emotions. I'll give you an example. I'm confused often. And I used to think I was not smart, that I was dumb, because I was often confused. Anytime I was reading a new book or speaking with an expert or learning something, I would feel confused. And I thought, oh, it must just be because I'm dumb. And then I felt dumb, and then I felt shame. But that isn't where I wanted to stay. So the way I reframe that mentally so that I can emotionally experience something different, something more empowering, is recognizing that I wanted to grow. I want to grow. I like growing. I want to move forward. I want to raise the quality of my life. I want to raise the quality of my business. So if I'm doing that, I'm constantly going to be learning new things. Confusion has been reframed for me as just the step before learning something new, the step before learning something brilliant. Confusion is just a process of growth. And once I was able to frame that mentally, it changed everything for me. So now when I'm confused, I immediately think, yeah, of course I'm confused. I'm learning something new. If I understood it right away, I would have already known it. I wasn't learning something. And now I know to anticipate learning something pretty great, pretty incredible on the other side of confusion. Confusion is just a step. Does that make sense for you? And this is the place where I'll open it up for any questions, because we're going to take one more step in talking about emotional fitness, and that is training the emotions we want to show up daily. Monica, thank you. I'm glad you find it amazing. That's fantastic. I live for that, right? So the mental framing is so important. Recognizing our emotions so that you can accept whatever feeling you have, not try to crush it or shame yourself for it. Understanding why you have it so you can master it, and so that you can recognize it quicker the next time, and then choosing your intention so that you can reframe that and ground yourself in the emotion you want moving forward. Patrick, exactly. Confusion leads to learning, mastering. That's it. So you can reframe with anything. Absolutely, 100%. You can reframe with anything, any thought, any emotion. But you've got to know what you want to feel. You've got to know the state, the experience that you want to have in your life. If you don't know that, you're just going to be tossed about on the waves of life, period. If you have questions, throw them in there, and I will be absolutely glad to explore those with you. So emotional fitness, then, once you do those three things, it enables you, when you have the mental framing, to actually train yourself to feel and think the way you want to feel and think every day. And it doesn't just happen like that. It's fitness. It's training. It takes time. If I went to the gym tomorrow and it's the first time, it's not, because I've been to the gym, But if I went to the gym tomorrow for the first time and I worked out and then I came out and I was like, oh man, these just aren't doing what I want them to do. And I've been to the gym once. What gives? This doesn't work. Training doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You actually need that resistance over and over and over again to actually grow your muscles. And to shape them and to define yourself and to change your body. Same thing emotionally. You've got to face that resistance over and over and over again and train yourself to reframe and show up with the emotions you intend to live with the thoughts you intend to live with. I do this every morning when I wake up. Every morning, I train myself for how I want to feel. I train myself for how I want to think. I train myself for who I want to become. And I'm happy with that. And so it allows for me to not get stuck, to accept what people would call negative emotions, see them for what they are, and reframe them. So joy is an emotion I want to feel every day. So I use gratitude to train that emotion into my body, into my heart, into my mind every day. So there's that. Tell me if that all feels too magical to you, or if that makes sense. While I get a sip of water. And then if you have a question, any question at all, throw it in. We'll tackle it. By we, I mean me and you. And if I'm not sure your question, I'll just ask some clarifying questions myself. Does that make sense for you? Let me know. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to assume that makes sense because nobody said anything back after some chatter. Awesome. Fantastic. Now, here's the deal. Take this and put it into practice immediately. Put it into practice immediately. I was just having a conversation with Nick about the amount of training, free training that's done and given away that I do, that he does. And people look at it and they read it, they comment, they engage. Oh, that's very helpful, but then they don't put it into practice. And so it doesn't matter. It might as well never have existed, if that makes sense. So take this, put it into practice. You're beautiful people. You are going to change the world by caring for others and coaching them to a better way of life. I believe that. So let's do it. Feel free to shoot me a message if you have any other questions, drop any more comments on here. I'm going to leave this up. And that's it. I will see you the next time.